Melissa Turner, a name once celebrated in the online world for her creativity and striking cosplay, is now remembered for something far darker. Known to her fans as Two-Thorned Rose, Melissa's rise to fame in the camgirl industry was marked by ambition and resilience. With her captivating presence and ability to seamlessly blend cosplay with adult content, she quickly carved out a niche that resonated with a diverse audience. But her story would take a sinister turn when a tragic event in October 2019 ended with her partner Matthew Trussler losing his life under mysterious and chilling circumstances. Born on November 25, 1992 in Florida, Melissa's early life was unremarkable. Growing up, she was always drawn to horror movies and fantasy worlds, finding solace in these escapist realms. However, her formative years were shadowed by deep insecurities about her appearance. By her late teens, Melissa had accumulated significant weight, tipping the scales at over 250 pounds. This weight gain, coupled with the societal pressures she felt, led to a profound decline in her self-esteem, triggering bouts of depression. Despite these challenges, Melissa made a bold, life-changing decision to take control of her health. Between 2011 and 2013, she lost 90 pounds through a combination of diet and fitness, an accomplishment that completely transformed her outlook on life. This dramatic physical change not only boosted her self-worth, but also opened doors to new opportunities she had once considered out of reach. One of those opportunities was cosplay. For Melissa, cosplay was far more than just a hobby. It was a form of self-expression and a way to connect with others who shared her passion for creativity and individuality. As she immersed herself in this community, she found a sense of belonging that had eluded her earlier in life. Her passion for cosplay soon intersected with her growing interest in the adult entertainment industry, a path that would radically alter the course of her life. The turning point came in 2014, when Melissa attended a party and met a camgirl who shared stories of financial independence and success. Intrigued by the possibilities, Melissa decided to try it for herself, unaware that this decision would lead to a career that would change everything. Adopting the alias Two-Thorned Rose, Melissa entered the camgirl industry with a unique blend of cosplay and adult content. This fusion quickly garnered attention, and before long, Melissa's popularity began to soar. Her ability to craft elaborate costumes and embody different characters while engaging in adult performances created a distinct persona that set her apart from others in the field. This success allowed her to leave behind the financial strain of low-paying part-time jobs and focus solely on her camming career. She launched her own website, offering exclusive content that catered to niche audiences, particularly those with a passion for horror, fantasy, and the macabre. Her entrepreneurial spirit drove her to continually innovate and diversify her content, eventually earning her a steady income in the thousands of dollars per month. However, despite her professional success, Melissa's personal life remained fraught with instability. Her relationship with her former boyfriend, Sin, who had supported her early career, ended in turmoil. The couple's frequent arguments, allegations of abuse, and disagreements led to their breakup, which also resulted in the collapse of the shared business they had built together. This marked a difficult period in Melissa's life, forcing her to navigate a new chapter without the support she had once relied on. Nevertheless, her resilience and determination kept her moving forward, and it was during this tumultuous time that she met Matthew Trussler. Matthew Trussler, a Massachusetts native, had relocated to Florida in search of better opportunities. Described by those who knew him as kind, hardworking, and compassionate, Matthew quickly bonded with Melissa over their shared love for animals and a mutual desire for a peaceful, fulfilling life. Their connection seemed natural, and by late 2018, the couple had purchased a home together in Riverview, Florida. Their relationship appeared to be thriving, with Matthew frequently sharing posts on social media about his gratitude for their life together, often mentioning their pets and home with great affection. Melissa, too, expressed her love for Matthew, posting pictures of their adventures and the moments they shared. To the outside world, their relationship seemed stable and full of promise. But as is often the case, appearances can be deceiving, and beneath the surface, things were not as perfect as they seemed. Behind closed doors, the couple's relationship was anything but perfect. Friends and neighbors reported frequent arguments, with tensions between them escalating over time. Matthew's brother described the relationship as toxic, noting that there were signs of emotional manipulation, controlling behavior, and constant conflict. Melissa's behavior began to raise increasing concerns among those close to the couple, as she exhibited erratic and unpredictable actions. The cracks in their seemingly ideal life widened, with both individuals trying to maintain the facade of a perfect marriage, while the emotional and psychological toll of their relationship continued to mount. Yet, despite the escalating tensions and visible signs of trouble, nothing could have predicted the tragic and violent events that would unfold in October 2019. On the morning of October 18, 2019, police were called to the couple's home after Melissa made a frantic 911 call. She claimed to have found Matthew unresponsive on their patio, though her frantic tone seemed to contradict her story. When officers arrived, they discovered his lifeless body covered in wounds, including a deep stab wound to his back and several defensive injuries on his arms, which suggested a violent struggle. Melissa appeared distraught, but her version of events raised suspicions almost immediately. While she repeatedly emphasized her shock and grief, her demeanor seemed inconsistent with someone who had just discovered their partner's body. Initially, Melissa told officers she had found Matthew outside and had no idea what had happened. However, under further questioning, her story began to change. She claimed Matthew had returned home drunk, initiating a violent argument that quickly escalated into physical confrontation. According to Melissa, he attacked her, and she had no choice but to act in self-defense. But as investigators examined the physical evidence, the narrative she was presenting began to unravel. Surveillance footage from a neighbor's security camera provided crucial evidence, capturing audio of the altercation. Though the camera's view was partially obstructed, the audio painted a chilling picture. Melissa's voice dominated the recording, filled with aggression and anger. Phrases like, "I hate you" and "get up" were heard repeatedly, followed by the sound of glass breaking and violent scuffles. Matthew's voice, in contrast, remained mostly silent, and there were no audible indications that he was the one instigating the altercation. Furthermore, Matthew's smartwatch provided additional evidence, recording his final heartbeat just minutes after the argument began, painting a timeline that contradicted Melissa's initial claims of discovering his body hours later. What shocked investigators further was the timeline of events. Melissa had waited 4 hours after the incident before calling 911, a significant delay that suggested intent to conceal her actions rather than a panicked call for help. The physical evidence also contradicted her claims of self-defense. Matthew's injuries, including several defensive wounds on his arms, were inconsistent with the scenario of a single isolated stab in the heat of a moment. These defensive wounds indicated that he had attempted to fight back or protect himself during the violent attack. As the investigation continued, Melissa's initial claims of innocence became increasingly difficult to defend. The weight of evidence, from surveillance audio to forensic analysis, painted a damning picture. Melissa Turner was arrested on suspicion of second-degree murder, setting the stage for a legal battle that would eventually uncover even more disturbing details about the events leading up to Matthew's death. The trial of Melissa Turner brought forward chilling details that solidified the case against her. While Melissa pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder, claiming she acted in self-defense during a violent altercation, the evidence presented in court painted a starkly different picture. The prosecution argued that Melissa's actions were not those of a terrified victim fighting for survival, but rather of someone driven by anger, resentment, and the intent to harm. Key evidence included the audio recordings from a neighbor's surveillance system and data from Matthew's smartwatch. These technological pieces became instrumental in unraveling the sequence of events leading to Matthew's death. The audio revealed the escalating argument between Melissa and Matthew in the early hours of October 18, 2019. Melissa's voice was heard repeatedly shouting aggressive phrases such as, "I hate you," and "Get up," followed by sounds of glass breaking and violent scuffles. At no point did Matthew's voice indicate he was the aggressor, contradicting Melissa's version of the story. The smartwatch data corroborated this timeline, showing that Matthew's heart stopped just minutes after the argument intensified. This not only contradicted Melissa's claim that she had found Matthew already dead, but also highlighted the delay in her call to emergency services. For 4 hours after the attack, Melissa did not seek help, a detail that the prosecution argued demonstrated a lack of remorse and an attempt to let Matthew die without intervention. This delay was a crucial piece of evidence, suggesting that her priority was to conceal the crime rather than try to save her husband's life. In court, Melissa maintained that Matthew was abusive and that she feared for her life during the altercation. Her defense team painted him as a violent drunk who had a history of aggression, presenting bruises and injuries on Melissa as evidence of physical abuse, suggesting she acted out of self-preservation. However, Matthew's friends and family vehemently denied these claims, describing him as kind, caring, and never prone to violence. The prosecution further argued that Melissa's injuries were inconsistent with her story and could have been self-inflicted to support her defense. The medical examiner's report strongly supported the prosecution's case. Matthew's injuries included multiple stab wounds and defensive cuts, which suggested he had tried to protect himself during the attack. The fatal wound, a deep stab to his back, was delivered with enough force to puncture vital organs, undermining Melissa's claim of a single panicked motion in self-defense. This was not an act of desperation, but one of intentional violence, and the extent of Matthew's injuries suggested a calculated, deliberate attack rather than an isolated incident of fear-based self-defense. Adding to the prosecution's case was Melissa's behavior after the murder. In recorded phone calls from jail, she boasted about her financial stability and appeared indifferent to the gravity of her situation. These calls were used to argue that Melissa lacked remorse for her actions and was more concerned about her reputation and career than the life she had taken. The defense attempted to shift focus to Melissa's past, highlighting her struggles with self-esteem, weight loss, and her rise in a competitive industry. They argued that her transformation into a confident and successful woman was a testament to her resilience, suggesting that her actions on the night of October 18th were out of character and a response to years of emotional turmoil. However, this argument failed to sway the jury, who were presented with overwhelming evidence of her guilt. The jury deliberated carefully, considering charges ranging from second-degree murder to manslaughter. In the end, they convicted Melissa of second-degree murder, agreeing that her actions were intentional and not justified by self-defense. The judge sentenced her to 20 years and 6 months in prison, a sentence that many found surprisingly lenient given the brutality of the crime. The case had captured national attention, with many expressing shock at the details that had emerged and the tragic outcome of a marriage that had spiraled into violence. For those who followed Melissa's online journey from her rise as two-thorned rose to her conviction, the story is a stark cautionary tale about the dual lives people can lead, one in the public eye and another behind closed doors. It's a reminder to look beyond appearances and to address issues before they escalate into irreversible actions. Thank you for joining us in exploring this gripping case. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on more true crime stories. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care and stay safe.